Hello everyone, I am Crawlers and spoiler alert, EA did not change. After some mucho backlash on Reddit and other places like YouTube's and a record-holding all-time low score of 0.8 on Metacritic for their super aggressive microtransaction initiative in Star Wars Battlefront 2. I'm sure you know that already, but if you don't, check out my other videos in this playlist. But, well, they seemingly caved and yesterday put out this statement. Well, actually, let's first step back to the previous day where they decided to do a very obvious AMA ploy to quell the masses, and this has gone out over about as well as you could have expected to. The AMA was filled mainly with angry anti-progression rants where, you know, everyone was upset at them for limiting the amount of daily credits earned in arcade mode, you know, the crystals that you have to buy for real world money, and pretty much the deplorable way you could buy gameplay advantage through crafting, you know, epic star cards. And this was really an ask me anything that I'm allowed to answer type thread. And obviously, EA sent, you know, some sacrificial DICE developers, one being a relatively new guy even, and basically threw them under the angry mob bus, you know, that has torn into them like a Kleenex at a snot party. Now, this alone hasn't been the reason that yesterday, at least I think so, DICE released a statement by the general manager that basically says they are turning off all in-game purchases where all progression will now be done through gameplay. Now, here's where you get to put your to put on your high rubber boots and wade through this river of shit. First of all, the severe backlash EA was facing, in my opinion, was still not enough to dent the millions of sales of units that they will have expected to sell on release. The reason they rolled back the in-game purchases, I think, was because this was a system that was suspiciously close to gambling, if you think about it. Basically, paying money for a theoretical loot crate item in-game that, you know, may or may not be good, which is by definition a game of chance. And since this game is marketed to minors, Dutch and Belgian gambling agencies opened an investigation into EA's practices. In all fairness, they've also opened an investigation into Overwatch's loot crates, but there at least these are cosmetic items which are not necessary to, you know, win the game, so I don't really think that will be an issue for that game really that much. You see, the problem continues. As you might have expected by now, this is yet another ploy, and you need to continue listening to this only wearing the proper protective tinfoil headwear. Basically, EA isn't giving up these crystals because they're too big a cash cow for them. As I said in my previous video, the microtransaction system in games is wildly profitable because even if 99% of the people never buy a loot box, the 1% that does is actually, well, they're usually a gambling addict, you know, who spends thousands upon thousands of dollars on these things and keeps chasing that, you know, that next unlock high, that next bonus, that better thing in the next loot box. So EA really just temporarily removed these in-game purchases because they've got a rolled up newspaper whacked to the nose from the official investigations, And this is a direct quote. Star Wars Battlefront 2 changes will balance those who want gameplay progression and those who want an, quote, accelerated experience, which we all know what it means by now. So these microtransactions are easily scared, but they will be back and in greater numbers. In another subtler, more subtle ploy, EA hopes the people who were really angry and that, that they couldn't progress in game when they could only play a couple hours a week. Well, they're hoping will now be able to be duped into, back into buying the game because they said in the AMA very clearly this is what keeps them from buying. But, once they buy the game and the microtransactions are back in a couple of months, they are mostly stuck by then. They already bought the game, EA has shipped the units, they inflated the next year's profit predictions again, and the shareholders are happy. And life is good shitting on a golden plated shitter in the back of your Bentley, taking a relaxing dump all the way to work. Now, another thing I wanted to address real quick before I go out, because I saw these comments in the angry AMA that they did a couple of days ago. If you people said, well, DICE needs to stop giving in to these EA's, ridiculous and unreasonable demands that, that's screwing up their otherwise good games and just stop implementing them. Well, first of all, DICE has made it very clear before that they are happy where they are with EA, although I'm guessing they couldn't have said anything different online. Blink twice if they're listening. So, the second thing is, I think DICE couldn't make such huge projects and incredibly expensive campaigns if it wasn't for EA's money. I mean, these campaigns like Hardline, Star Wars Battlefront 2, and so on and so forth, take years to get right for, the voice acting, writing, animating, and so on. And quite frankly, if anyone didn't do, their own, the job that they should be doing, they'd be fired. And I mean, there's many people that would kill to work at DICE, I'm sure. So, yes, this will continue to get worse and worse before it gets better. Discuss. Oh, and another tiny bonus, EA's stock has taken a small, though slightly very noticeable, well, not very noticeable, I guess, but very slight hit these past 1 or 2 days. So, maybe it does have someone worried. I'm hoping that it does, but saying Disney will stomp on EA's balls and kind of, apply pressure to them annually is kind of silly, because honestly, Disney knows they have this in the bag. They won't take the Star Wars franchise from EA. They know they will have the money anyway. Not that many people will forego the next Star Wars, because let's be honest here, we're all going to the theater this December, and we're all buying the next Star Wars Lego set. So it's really become a too big to fail kind of thing. So, So thanks for watching. Please rate and share this video as it helps my channel grow. Check out my other videos. Wait, no, don't. What am I saying? Well, whatever. In Soviet Russia, YouTube subscribes you.